Good morning, councillors. I do welcome everyone to this, our last meeting for 2019, for our meeting for December. And before I open our meeting, councillors, we do have a bit of a morning on. At 10 o'clock we will stop and do a presentation to Joel and Yolandi Soper from the who are you from, Joel? Salvation Army. I was just testing you. Because they are leaving this community and being wonderful people, but we will do that, so I need to tell councillors, we have at 12 o'clock, councillors, we're heading for without rushing anything through with our meeting, but we do have an official opening of our service centre down in the Coles precinct. I've been asked to open that in absence of Mr Adam Marshall. Adam's tied up with some emergency stuff today, so we're heading for that, so we'll pull up about 11:45 and we'll walk down there, and I'd love all the councillors, up to you, but we're all invited to be there. It's fairly important, so it's a wonderful new facility there, and sadly it's in where Target used to be, but that's where they are. So we'll intend to go down there and partake in that. And our previous state member Thomas George has been invited to that too, so it'll be good to catch up with him. Righto, so we'll open our meeting, and with our opening prayer. We give thanks for the contribution by our pioneers, early settlers, for those who fought in the various wars for the fabric of Tenterville community we have today. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be accepted in thy sight, O Lord. Amen. The acknowledgement of the country, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land that we're meeting on today. I'd also like to pay respect for the elders both past, present and emerging of the Yuckabull, Kamilaroi and Bundjalung nations, and extend that respect to Aboriginal people present. Apologies, councillors. Councillor Forbes obviously still on his leave, so we do acknowledge that, and I would ask for someone to move and second an apology for Councillor Forbes. Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. Second by Councillor Bronwyn Petrie, and I thank you. All in favour? Again, carried, thank you. Disclosure of declarations of interest.
I've got one for the confidential.
Yeah, you got it filled in. We do have a declaration of interest to do with COV 80, I apologise, /19. It's to do with the DA. It's from Councillor McNish. And it is declared as a pecuniary interest. So, Councillor, you'll be leaving the room?
Well, if I have to, there's no other heading I could find to put it under, Mr Mayor. So,
Councillor, that's to do with our workshop the other day. I mean, that's up to you.
yeah, I thought about it last night, but I thought I'd just declare it anyway because...
I totally agree.
Yep, because I do tend, well, hopefully we'll make some money out of it one day, so...
Well...
Therefore it's pecuniary, so...
It's money, it's pecuniary.
My advice to you, Councillor, I would leave the room.
I will.
Yeah, thank you. Please respect me saying that. Because there is a financial gain there. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bronwyn, you've indicated that you...
It's a non-significant, non-pecuniary.
Yeah, which item, Councillor, please? Yeah? Yeah, but which item in the confidential? Sorry?
The first one.
Well, see,
It's on the
the Emergency Operations Administration Building refurbishment, COM 21/19. You did say in the confidential report?
Yes.
Yeah? Just make sure we get it right. Drop mine.
And we need a form. Page 6. It is COM 21/19.
Yep. Councillor, please, just as the morning goes, please fill in your form for. Thank you. Okay, so we have two declarations of interest. Councillors, can I have Councillor McNish has indicated he will leave the room when that one comes up. Councillor Bronwyn Petrie will be staying here. It's not significant. Can I have a move in a second, please, to accept those? Councillor Gary Verry, thank you. Second by Councillor Tom Peters, and I thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, with the confirmation of the previous minutes, item MIN 11/19, was someone who was at that meeting like to declare that they move that they are a true and correct record, please? Councillor Sawyer, I thank you. Second by councillor Rogan, and I thank you. All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillors, we don't have any tabling of documents. Do we have an urgent and late supplementary item of business? It's an addendum item. And it's item COM 22/19, drought stimulus package, regional youth school holiday activity. Can I have a move and a seconder that we accept that late item, please? Councillor Bronwyn Petrie, thank you. Seconded by councillor Greg Sawyer, and I thank you. All in favour? Again, carried. Thank you. Councillors, we don't have any community consultation, and I don't have a Merrill minute. Recommendations for items to be considered in confidential. We do have these, councillors. The first one, councillors, item GOV 87/19, that's been pulled from the report. So we're just dealing with COM 21/19, ECO 16/19, ECO 17/19, and ECO 18/19. Can I have a move and a seconder that they be dealt with in confidential, please? Councillor Murray, I thank you. Seconded by councillor Sawyer, and I thank you. All in favour? Again, carried. Thank you. Right. So with the acceptance, councillors, of the addendum item, it is the first item we will deal with on our agenda. So it's item, you've should have a hard copy, it's item COM 22/19, drought stimulus package, regional youth holiday activity. Can I have a move and a second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Mike Petrie, thank you. Seconded by councillor Gary Very, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Chief Corporate Officer, that'd be you, Colby Smith.
That would be.
And
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Before you start, Cole, I do want to welcome Penny Robinson, I apologise. Robinson? Burtson. Okay, so we got there. Well, welcome, Pen, and Penny's standing in for, sitting in for Paul today, he's away, and we'll be kind to you, mate. Won't knock you around, but welcome. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, Cole.
No, you're right. Once again, apologies for the late notice of this report. Council was advised on Friday, by way of a letter attached, that there was the opportunity to apply for between $5,000 and $10,000 to support additional youth programs over the coming school holiday period. The target period that they're looking at is obviously sort of late December, early January, which makes it difficult with the proposed shutdown. So we've actually got a report there, I guess, to apply for that funding, which will be paid retrospectively at this point in time, given the rushed nature of it, to actually provide admission fees via a discount of 50% from the 1st of January to the 31st of January. We've had some conversations with the pool contractors just to make sure that they are supportive of such a proposal. There were some concerns raised in and around supervision, given the target audience is people under 25, about trying to discount those in their entirety. So what we've come up with for a recommendation for Council's consideration today is to actually apply for the funding on offer and reduce the adult and child admission fees for entry by 50% to $2 per person, with obviously under 3 still free for the month of January 2020, and to refund the season passes for the month of January on request of the user through Council's administration. So anybody who presents their season pass to Council will happily refund them the full month of January so that they can actually participate in that reduction in the admission fee. Happy to take any questions. There is a fact sheet that we've attached, obviously, in the letter that was received on the 13th of December. It's a little bit disappointing that we had such short notice in terms of considering it. However, on a positive note, it is an item that can be expensed by Council, so there's not that long-term impact of grant funding to consider, which is a bit of a positive in this instance as well.
Questions, Colby, to do with the report? No questions? I apologise. Councillor McNish, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, just the obvious one, Kylie. The purpose of the grant is to support youth programs, yet we're going to reduce the adult admission.
The reason we've chosen or made that recommendation, Councillor, is obviously if you are a child in our pool, you require the supervision of an adult, and we believe that obviously if we continue to have a higher fee for adults, then we will minimise the supervision, and our pool contractors won't be able to organise any additional supervision within the timeframes that we've given them. So that's why we've made that recommendation. So it's purely to support the outcome of that grant as well by allowing young people to access the facility.
Thanks for that.
Councillor Bellman, you've indicated?
Yes, happy to support. Pity we can't waive the fees completely because of what's been happening, but no, I think it's important, and also we don't want the pool staff having to be asked for ID and age proof and all that kind of stuff as well. Thank you.
I think it was in recognition of the fact that people attending that facility, it's perhaps a little bit more complicated than just who gets in with an admission charge discounted. So, yeah, I'm hopeful I'll look favourably on that. I have been told, as I said, which is in the report, that it is an allocation via councils who are eligible, so I can see no reason why we wouldn't actually achieve that funding once we've put in our application. But they're asking us, obviously, to make that change and adjustment at this point in time.
Thanks, Kylie, and I do commend the staff on all the hard work with the late notice of this grant application that you will do and have done. But I think it's absolutely fantastic, and commend the government on putting this forward. They could have been a bit better organised, but we deal with that on a regular basis. And so very, very good. Sorry.
On the financials with that, it is a little bit hard to forecast as well, so take the cost of providing those fees a little bit with a grain of salt, because obviously they will change depending on the number of people that take up that offer. So as I said, we've done the estimates based on the previous year's attendances. We may well get more attendances, which is obviously the hope, which will change those as well.
Thanks, Kylie. The recommendations there, councillors, all in favour of the recommendation? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we'll move on to our report on page 23 in your hard copy. It's item ECO 14/19, sale of land for unpaid rates and charges. Could I move in a second here, please, to deal with this item? Councillor Sawyer, thank you. Second, please. Councillor Mike Petrie, I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Revenue Officer, Penny Robinson, to present this report. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, the purpose of this report is to advise Council of land and on Council's records that are eligible for sale of land for unpaid rates and charges under Section 713 of the Local Government Act 1993 and Council's debt recovery policy. To resolve commence the process of selling these properties for unpaid rates and charges to recover the amount of $228,378.98 outstanding, which was at the 4th of December 2019, constitutes 34.56% of total outstanding rates and charges. The recommendation to Council is pursuant to Section 713 and other relevant sections of the Local Government Act 1993. Implements sale proceedings to sell the properties listed in this report at the public auction at a time and place to be determined. 2, appoints Outstanding Collections Australia Proprietary Limited to administer the sale of on Council's behalf. 3, authorises Council staff and OSC to proceed with the necessary arrangements pertaining to the sale of the properties listed in this report, as set out in the Local Government Act 1993 and Local Government General Regulations 2005. 4, delegates authority to the General Manager Chief Executive to take the following actions pertaining to the properties specified in the report: to withdraw from sale any property that prior to the commencement of the auction has had all rates and charges payable, including overdue rates and charges paid in full; to withdraw any property from sale for technical or legal reasons; to set reserve prices for sale of the properties at auction time; to negotiate by private treaty and accept offers for sale of any property that fails to sell at auction; to execute sale and purchase contracts and property transfer documents under Council's common seal. Thank you.
Thank you, Pen. Councillors, any questions to Penny to do with the report? Councillor Verry?
Yeah, just a couple.
I'll allow that, Councillor.
There's quite a few here that are well over the 5 years. There's some up to 18 years. I'd just like to know how come we've let it get that far before we've done anything about it. And there's a couple of big amounts as well. So I'm just curious as to why we've let it linger on.
So in some cases they are deceased estates where we've had to wait for the amount to get over a certain threshold. We haven't done a sale of land since 2013, so there is that case. So in some cases, they weren't ready for the threshold with their amounts when the sale of land came up in 2013. And then we've also had the delay. We've had 6 years that we haven't had.
Did you have another question, councillor, or was that it? Oh, was it? Okay. Good on you. Just before I go to any other questions, Pen, to do with the seal and stuff and OSC, so that's the fellows that were here and give that presentation at that workshop.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I just mentioned that, councillor, so we're all aware of that, which I thought was really, really good. Any other questions, councillor Bowman?
Just confirming these are actual blocks of land, not what happened down at Wungabung where land was sold that was inadvertently not included in the sale of the 2 properties down there. And so now we've got a road reserve sold at auction by council that dissects the property, and I think it still needs warrant a further investigation. So to make sure that there are no previous Crown Road things or anything like that in here. These are actual blocks of land, so that we don't end up with another situation like the diabolical one down there.
We do have one that is a road. It was sold at the last sale of land, and the person that purchased it is not forthcoming with rates, so we will be selling that again.
Well, prior to that going to sale, can I suggest we just keep that one separate to the others and we do a bit more investigation with the surrounding land? Because what should have happened before is that those previous, the new owners of the previous properties should have been made aware of this fact, and that was clearly a mistake, and they should have had the opportunity to have either the legal people had done the wrong thing or the agent had done the wrong thing in not listing it instead of selling it, and now you've got 22-yard section or 20-metre section of country that could be fenced, and they then can't, they have to levitate over the top to get to the rest of their property. So that one particular parcel, can we treat it separately, please?
Yes, we can. When we were in the workshop last month, our representative Richard from Outstanding Collections did talk about doing negotiations with the people that are listed on here, and we do have that in our schedule of doing last-minute mediation before the auction, so we can definitely approach that in regards to those parcels of land.
Kylie, did you want to comment?
Yeah, I think the important thing is that we can't transfer anything that we don't own. So throughout this process, council is never actually the owner of the land. We're selling it on behalf of the people who aren't paying rates, and that's one of the challenges about why you will end up with a block. I think the takeaway is to make sure that all of the adjoining owners through our advertising campaign are really aware of what the process and have received some information about the fact that these particular properties are going to be sold, because otherwise council's got no legal recourse to sell a property unless it's through the sale of land for unpaid rates process, which is to offer it for public auction. Is that mate?
Okay, councillor McNish.
Yeah, Penny, what happens if a block doesn't sell?
So we would do mediation and try and, some people can approach us afterwards, so in that recommendation that we can actually do negotiations after the auction if it doesn't sell. If it hasn't got to the reserve, then we can go back and negotiate with the highest bidder.
Thanks, Pen. Any other questions to Pen or Kylie to do with the report? Okay, councillors, the officer's recommendations there. All in favour of the officer's recommendation? Against? Carried. Thank you. Councillors, we'll move on to page 28. It's item EC 015/19, Peter Allen Festival. Can I have a move and a second to deal with this item, please? What? Sorry, Mr Deputy Mayor?
Sorry, Mr Mayor. I'm anticipating this might take more than 8 minutes, so I suggest we deal with your presentation at 10 o'clock now, because I don't want to interrupt it.
Well, happy to take that on board, councillor. Right. Well, can we do the next one? That shouldn't be too bad. So we'll come back to that one. Everyone agree with that? Okay, so we'll do page 31. It's item ENV 21/19, Community Participation Plan. Can I move in a second to deal with this item, please? Councillor Verry, thank you. Second by Councillor Rogan, and I thank you. And I'll hand over to our Manager of Planning and Development Services, Tomei. Welcome, Tomei.
Thank you. Through Mr Mayor, this report is recommending to Council that the draft Community Participation Plan be adopted as exhibited and uploaded to the New South Wales Planning Portal. At its meeting in October, Council resolved to place the plan on exhibition. We did receive 2 submissions during the public consultation process. The extracts or the exact submissions are actually copied into that report there. Whilst they're raising valid concerns, they didn't specifically relate to the exhibition of the Community Participation Plan. Both the submissions there I've addressed in the report in terms of how they're addressed separately, so they will be considered at a later date, but they don't particularly relate to the CPP.
Question to Tomei to do with the report, councillors? No? All happy to the officer's recommendations there, councillors? All happy to adopt? In favour? Against? Carried? Okay. Now, can I have do we need to suspend standing orders? We won't. We'll make it part of our meeting.
Suspending later.
Righto. Councillors, it was a great honour today to acknowledge the efforts that Joel and Soper are putting in this community, and I think it's outstanding that this council acknowledged that today. So I would love for the Sopers to come and accept this gift after I say a few more. Please stand and welcome, please, councillors, my chamber. To both of you, you've been an outstanding part of this community for many years now, and the relationship that you've had with this council has been outstanding, and in times of adversity, and floods, and fire, and drought, and you've been there all the time, both of you. And I can't say enough of our personal relationship. We've always been on the phone to each other, Joel, and you annoy me a bit sometimes, but we tend to get there. And you never stop, and it's either to do with making sure that families are on the right track and being fed and looked after, and obviously going further than that and providing fodder for livestock and whatever you can do, mate. So I can never forget the effort that you've made. So it's been outstanding. So please accept this gift from our council, and I hope it holds pride of place in to wherever you're going, and remember us well. Please welcome the Sopers. Would you like to say a few words, John?
It's been an honour to be stationed here at Tenterfield. As you know, my grandparents were here 60 years ago, and you wouldn't hear a good story that Parma would share that didn't mention friends and family in Tenterfield. There's always a lovely story, even about someone giving my uncle that passed away a little Shetland pony to use when he had cancer, and just little things like that. And even over the 60 years, the town hasn't changed. It's it's just been such a privilege to be able to bring my girls up here and just give them the opportunities that my dad had and my uncles had. It's just been so great, and working with you guys, it's been awesome. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
I just want to say, we've loved working in this community, and even when the whole town's struggling, everyone still chips in and helps each other out, and it's a very generous, loving community, and we've loved being a part of it. And I do want to say that through the fires late at night, Peter, the mayor, would often be down just checking on things when everyone else was perhaps tucked up in bed, and
Washing pots.
Yeah, washing pots. We have a photo to prove it. But I do want to say that you have a great mayor who loves his community, and he does a lot of stuff that people don't realise, and it's a credit to you too today. So
used to go there because I know he'd make me coffee.
yes, John knows how to make your coffee. So we have been very blessed in the 9 years we've been here. We've loved Tenterfield. There's been highs and lows, but we've loved the community, a loving and generous community. So.
Thank you.
Councillors, have we got Smoko? Okay. But I think out of respect, and I know we'd all like to personally wish Joel and Yo all the best, so we might break for a bit of an early morning tea. Is that okay? And then we'll come back and get on with our meeting. Everyone happy with that? Okay, well, I'll do it from here. Can I have a motion to suspend standing orders, please? Councillor Very, thank you. Second by Councillor Tom Peters, thank you. All in favour? Good. We'll be back.